Hey everyone, it's Robert Hall. Today we're going to go over the new Godox BFP projection attachment for Flash. Now we've gone over projection attachments many times on this channel. First, there was the SAP projection kit that was designed for the S30. Then it was adapted using the SA17 adapter to allow it to work with larger Bowens LED lights. And this kind of worked for Flash users as people were able to apply it to lights up to the 8400 Pro, but it wasn't a true Flash system that would work for everything. Then there was the launch of the VSA projection kit, which was a much more robust unit designed for even larger LED units. Way more impressive build quality, really nice flag designs, huge upgrade all around, but still you couldn't put any flashes beyond the 8400 Pro in there because of the rear element. And then most recently there was the AKR21, a really compact and lightweight projection attachment for the 8100 Pro, 8200 Pro, and any of the speed lights. There's a problem here. None of these were optimized to work for all of the Godox X series strobes, and they leave out really big lights like the 8600 Pro, 8200 Pro, and even the P2400 series of flash. So this BFP Flash is the first projection attachment that will work across all the Bowens X series Godox light. Let's quickly go over all the features of this. First off, it's a projection attachment that has three different lenses. There is a 65mm, an 85mm, and a 150mm. The greater the millimeters, the smaller of an image it will project. 85 is kind of a general use, 65mm works well at lighting up larger backgrounds, and then the 150mm if you want really tight spotlights or to work from a very far distance. There is also a 48mm in development. Now the system by default ships with the 85mm, but it is compatible with all those other ones, and it is an EF mount. So if you have any Canon lenses lying around, you can use those on this as well. A little tip here, if you're using some zoom with an f2.8 or f4 type aperture, then you're going to lose a lot of light, and projection systems just don't push a lot of light through to begin with. It's a very inefficient way to project light. So your light is already pretty valuable. You're going to want to stick with primes that offer really wide apertures when you use this. Now, like any good projection system, there is of course a slot for the use of gobos. These are little discs with patterns on them, and you put them inside and then it will project that pattern. And you can focus or defocus that pattern by adjusting the focus of the lens manually. There are four really nice flags that you can position. They hold their position really well and they don't get jostled too easily, so you can fine tune and flag certain portions of the gobo if you don't want them visible where you're projecting light. Additionally, there's an optional iris control that you can put in, and this tightens the pattern, so you're basically limiting it from the outside. It works exactly like a set of aperture blades. The front can be rotated a full 360 degrees, and there is a very satisfying soft stop that will occur every 90-degree intervals if you're looking for a really precise adjustment. And finally, on the front, there is a four-sided gel holder, and there are specific gels that are designed for this system, and the four sides ensures that even if you rotate this upside down, the gel's not just going to go and fall out. Overall, the design is great. This isn't unique by any means. These type of gobo systems have existed for a long time. This is the design that works best and is what photographers have wanted from Godox for a very long time. But I do want to leave you with some of the advantages of this BFP Flash over the other projection options that are available from Godox. First, I don't think there's any point in comparing it to the AKR22. That system is designed only for the speedlights. You can't use it for the larger flashes to begin with, and on top of that, it's not a fully featured projection system. You can't flag things, you can't control them with the iris, and there's limitations in terms of the gobos that are used for it. The real question is how the BFP compares to the SAP and the VSA projection kits. First, there's the obvious. The BFP can be used on the 8600 Pro, the 8600, the 8200 Pro, the P2400. The SAP and the VSA kits cannot be used on those lights. Their rear elements prevent them from mounting at all. And this is really important because, like I said earlier, projecting light is not an efficient process, so a lot of light is lost in the process of putting it in this modifier. So being able to use more powerful lights with it just makes it a more flexible lighting tool overall. But in comparing it to the SAP and the SA17 adapter, I put both of those on the 8400 Pro and I tested them, and I want to find out, do they transmit the same amount of light when they both have an 85mm optic on them? And no, they don't. The BFP Flash actually put out 0.6 stops more light than the SAP did. So it lets more light pass through the projection system, just making it more efficient overall and a better option overall. But on top of that, when both were just used with no obstruction, no gobo, no iris control, just a completely open circle and focused, I found that the SAP lost a ton of light from the center to the edge. It would lose 1.2 stops. The BFP only lost 0.6 stops from center to edge. So there's not as much gradation on the BFP, meaning that when you're using this to light a background or light a subject, it's just going to be more evenly lit using the BFP than if you were using the SAP plus the SA17 adapter. And that probably all boils down to the fact that the SA17, that's an extra optic to pass through that is just going to disrupt the light and the amount of light. The only other comparison would be to the VSA projection kit. Now that is actually a pricier, larger, and more robustly built system that is available, but not necessarily optimized for flash. And honestly, those benefits in terms of build quality are really lost on the use of flash because you really don't need that large yoke in order to use it with a flash unit. Okay, thank you for closing those doors. The only way I think you could make a case for choosing the VSA is if you wanted it for LED use first. Like if you were looking for a way to project your VL300 LED and also wanted it to work with your flash, then the VSA does still present a good option. So there's not much to say here other than finally, this is hands down the best projection system from Godox for flash photographers. Shipping has already started with this unit and it is $299, and that includes the 85mm optic. If you want other optics, then those are additional purchases. I linked the projection unit and all the lenses in the description below if you're interested, as well as the comparison products that I've talked about in this video. Alright, if you guys have any questions about the BFP Flash, let me know in the comments below. It is also worth mentioning that this is being launched along with a BFP LED, a very similarly designed unit but optimized for their LED lighting. Now I haven't been hands-on with it, so I'm not sure what the advantages are on that versus the VSA series projection kit, so maybe I'll save that for another video. Alright, take care guys.